Hello, hockey fans. This is the Minnesota Hockey Connection show. And today we don't have no co-host. Kenny is busy. But we have a lot of information on hockey this week, a lot of things happening. And my name is Jerry Burrow. And like I said, welcome to the Minnesota Hockey Connection show. To start off, we got the Minnesota Wild. They've been playing pretty good lately. Last Tuesday, they beat Buffalo out in Buffalo 4-1, and Zach Parise finally scored a couple goals. So that's his 8th goals of the year, and so it was a good win out there in Buffalo. Then they came home and they beat Colorado 3-2. But on Saturday, they were out in Boston. And they were ahead 4-2 with under 2 minutes left to play. And Boston pulled their goalie and scored a goal. Then the Minnesota Wild got a penalty. So Boston pulled their goalie again. It was 6-on-4, and Boston scores again. So the game is tied. It goes into overtime. And Boston wins in overtime. I don't know what it is about the Wild with OTs and shootouts. They just seem to be one of the worst teams in that category. They just can't find a win usually. I'll say one thing. I've been to the home games at the Wild. They are improving. They're getting some chemistry. The Kunin Greenway, Eriksson Ek line has been playing real good, and the top lines are getting better as we progress through the season. Stalock has been the goalie the last 3 games, so I don't know how long that'll last. And he's doing a pretty good job, though. And he got a couple victories and let one slide through with Boston, but the Wild still got a point. So, hey, good things are happening. They're 9-11-3 now, so that's they're getting closer to 500, and hopefully they can get to 500 in the next couple weeks. So this week, starting tonight, this won't go on until Wednesday, but they play 4 games this week. The Rangers on Monday night at the Rangers. Tuesday they go right across the river to New Jersey, and they play the New Jersey Devils. And Friday, they're back home the day after Thanksgiving for the afternoon game with Ottawa. And then Sunday, another afternoon game at home. Dallas comes to town, one of their conference teams. So that Dallas game is going to be a big game because it means a lot more when you play a conference team. So, like I said, the Wild are doing a lot better, and hopefully that continues, and we'll see. Well, this week, Colorado College came up to Amsoil Arena, and I tell you, that was a great series for UMD. They played their hearts out. I thought I was there Friday night, and they seemed to skate around them in the first period, but didn't score a goal. But they found a way to win with 18 seconds left on the power play when Cole Koepke scored. And some of the younger guys are starting to score now, and some of the players that we thought would be scoring are scoring too. So this is good for the UMD Bulldogs. And the shots on Friday night were 47-25, so they're doing a lot of offense stuff that are giving them opportunities. On Saturday night, UMD, I guess, just beat the you-know-what out of the Colorado College Tigers. They beat them 5-0, and the shots were 35-25. And Kobe Roth, Justin Richards, Noah Cates got 2 goals, and Luke Lohite even got a goal. So different people. But probably the story of the weekend has been Scott Perinovich. After Friday, the last 8 goals that UMD has scored, he has gotten an assist on each one of those 8 goals. And I don't know, I have to look this up or find someone to help me, but that might be a record in college hockey. But then he goes into Saturday night and scores on the first goal, so that's really 9 games in a row. But over the weekend, he got 7 assists. So I guarantee you he's going to be player of the week for sure, and in the NCHC. So that's good news for UMD. Other teams in Minnesota in D1, the Minnesota Gophers had a good weekend. They beat Wisconsin 4-1 on Friday night, and then they came back and tied them on Saturday night. They should have had the game on Saturday night too. They were ahead 3-1 going into the third period. But Wisconsin, which is a very good team this year, a lot of young players, and they came back and scored 2 goals to tie the game. And then a Minnesota kid, Max Zimmer, that played his hockey at Wayzata, scored in shootout to give him an extra point. But it goes in the record book as a tie. St. Cloud State was up at North Dakota, and former assistant coach at UMD, Brett Larson, he's fighting right now to get victories because they lost 4 in a row now. They lost both games up there in North Dakota, 4-2 on Friday night and 2-1 on Saturday night. And former Colorado College player and Cloquet High School player, Weston Mashad, who transferred over to North Dakota for his last year, got 2 assists on Friday night. So he's doing real well up there in North Dakota. So then Bemidji State. Bemidji State beat Alabama Huntsville 5-3, and then on Friday night, then they came back and just destroyed them on Saturday, 7-0. So Bemidji State had a good weekend too. So most of the Minnesota teams had a real good weekend. So this weekend, Minnesota State, the number 1 team in the USCHO, college hockey, is number 1, and they're coming up to Duluth on Friday and Saturday night. So that's a big series. Plus, it's a big series for pairwise too. So UMD has to have a good weekend against this number 1 team. And Minnesota State is 10-1-1. So they're coming out strong in the beginning of this season. And it's a very good team. And Coach Sandlin from UMD's son is on that Mankato team, Minnesota State Mankato. He Ryan Sandlin, who played his high school up in Hermantown. So it'll be interesting on this series, and I think it's probably going to be one of the top series this weekend in college hockey. So I'm looking forward to seeing a game at the Amsoil with these 2 teams. Now, my favorite time of the year. High school hockey has just started, first week, and I'll tell you what, already there's upsets. Top teams ranked teams are playing each other, and boy, I just love high school hockey. First of all, in my rankings, number 3, Andover, their first 2 games of the year were against Blake, the number 6 team. And on Thursday night, Andover is over at Blake's arena, and they beat them 6-3. Andover came out 3 goals in the first period. Blake came back with 3 goals in the second period, and then Andover came back with 3 goals in the third to take a 6-3 victory. And then on Saturday, Blake drives up to Andover's community center to play Andover again. And then Blake beats them at their rink 3-2. So, these two teams are the real deal. They're going to be in the top 10 this year. And this is great hockey when you go see these high school kids. So I'd get out there and see some games for sure, especially in the cities with all these big schools. There's some great teams. Benell came up, the number 2 team in state Class AA. They came up and played Duluth Marshall, and it went as everyone thought it would. They beat Marshall 11-0. And then the next day, Benell went up to Grand Rapids. And Rapids is a very young team, but a lot of people, including me, think they're going to be one of the better teams in Section 7 AA by the end of the year. Well, maybe they're there already because they beat Benell 4-2 up in the RA Arena. So that must have been the Rapid people feeling good at coming out of that stadium. But Denfield played their first 2 games. They beat Minnehaha Academy 7-1 on Friday night. And then they came back and beat Red Wing 6-3 at Heritage Ice Arena, Duluth Heritage Center. So Denfield's out to a strong start. And let me say something about Denfield's team. They got a lot of young kids. I think they only have on skaters 2 seniors. I catch 1. Yeah, 2 seniors on that team. So they're a young team, and I think this is a team that we'll keep on watching. And I tell you what, by the end of the year, I think Hermantown better watch out for the Hunters, because I think they're the real deal this year with these young kids coming up from that great Bantam A team. The top 2 scorers are twins Connor and Cooper McClure so far. And after 2 games, Connor has 8 points with 2 goals and 6 assists. And Cooper has 4 goals and 3 assists for 7 points. So those 2 brothers, twins, are the real deal. And there's a lot of other sophomores from that Bantam A team on this team. So I tell you what, I think Denfield's going to be another fun team to watch up north here. So I'd get out to the Duluth Heritage Center anytime they're playing. And sometimes there's going to be double headers when Duluth East plays 1 game and then Denfield plays the second game, or vice versa. So a lot of good hockey at the Duluth Heritage Center this winter. I was just looking over the holiday tournaments and that, and some of the bigger tournaments are down in the cities. Right before Christmas, that goes on every year, is the Edina Classic, and you have 4 teams in that. You got the number 1 team, Eden Prairie. You got Edina. You have Grand Rapids up north here, and then the 4th team is Elk River. And each night, each team plays one of the teams. I mean, so after 3 nights, they all get to play each other. And all these teams are top quality teams, and 2 are in the top 10 right now, and the other 2 are going to be close to the top 10. With Rapids beating Benell, they might even get in the top 10 and when we redo the rankings next Sunday. So keep watch of that. And like I say, the 19th through the 21st at Braemar Arena, Edina Classic. If you're down in the cities shopping, or you live down in the cities, get over to Braemar and watch these teams play. Then right after Christmas, December 26th, 27th, 28th in St. Louis Park, some of the top-ranked teams will be playing each other in a tournament. I think it's called Tradition Tournament. And what we have is Andover versus Rosemont. 3 and 4 playing each other at 2:30 on the 26th. Holy Family in Benale, Maple Grove in Minnetonka. So each game is after each other, and there's 3 big games there. And then like each day they trade off teams and that, and it'll be great hockey because you get a lot of top 10 ranked teams playing in this. And more high school hockey. We got some top-ranked teams playing this week. We got Edina playing Benale, which is tonight. And let me mention something. You won't be able to get this until Wednesday, but write this down. MN, Minnesota, hockey.tv. mnhockey.tv. And my friend Pete Wagner down in the cities is streaming a lot of Edina, Eden Prairie, Benale, Minnetonka games. And so those are some of the top teams in the state. And you get a look at what some of the top teams are doing. You can go on that site and see what games he'll be streaming. And he archives a lot of the games too. So after the game, if you can't see it when it's live, you can see it later. So that's mnhockey.tv. So very good site if you want to watch some hockey. And some games this week. Duluth Denfield will be at North Shore Duluth on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Duluth Marshall will be at Proctor, 7 p.m. Virginia will be at Greenway at 7. Evelyn Gilbert will be at Hermantown at 7:30 on Tuesday. So I think I'll be up at that Evelyn Gilbert because Evelyn is a lot better team now than they have been. So that could be an interesting game with Hermantown. And Hermantown's playing their first game now. Then on the 27th, down in the cities, we got Blaine playing Hill Murray. Hill Murray has a lot of young kids, but they're well coached, and this is a team that I think is going to be moving up during the year. Right now, I have them at number 9 in the Class AA. Then Friday, number 5 Minnetonka is coming up to play Grand Rapids, and that game is in the afternoon. This is the day after Thanksgiving, so everyone's off school. 3 p.m. game. Duluth East will be playing their first game down in the cities. That'll be at White Bear at 7 o'clock, White Bear Lake. And White Bear is a top 10 team, too. They're number 10. So 7 p.m. at White Bear Lake. The rink's in Vandas Heights, right off 61 and E. Then St. Thomas is at Cretin. Wayzata comes up here like every year. They come up here and play Hermantown on Fridays, and then they go play East on Saturday. And every other year, Hermantown and East go down to Wayzata to play. So this year they're up here. Hermantown on Friday night, 7:30. And then Saturday, they got East up here at 3 p.m. at the Duluth Heritage Center. So that's always a big matchup. Then number 1 in Class A, St. Cloud Cathedral, goes against number 5 Rorold in Class A up in Rorold on Friday night at 8 p.m. Then Saturday, St. Cloud Cathedral, number 1 in Class A, plays East Grand Forks, which is the number 3 team. These are the 2 teams I think Hermantown, if they make it to state, I think these 2 teams are the favorite in their sections. And like St. Cloud Cathedral's number 1, and they won the state tournament in Class A last year. Minnetonka's over at Greenway. So Greenway's playing a lot of Class AA teams this year, even though they're in Class A. So that's going to help them in the long run. I always believe a tough schedule is the right way to go to make your team stronger at the end. You don't have to win these games, but you want to compete and be close. Then Andover's over at Moorhead. I just saw Moorhead. They probably have the best goalie in the state. And Hodge is the name. St. Thomas Academy is at Blake. Cretan's at EP. Then Hermantown on Saturday, after they play Wayzata Friday night, they run down to Lakeville South. There's another team that's up and coming, young, and that. So Hermantown, I think, is going to have their handful on Saturday night. And then Blaine and Edina play at 8 p.m. down in the cities. And going back to college, we have the rankings out for this week. In pairwise, Cornell's 1, Minnesota State's 2, but Minnesota State's number 1 in the USCHO polls, coaches poll. And North Dakota's 3 on both polls, pairwise, in the coaches poll. Harvard's 4 on the pairwise, Notre Dame's 5, Penn State's 6, Denver's 7, UMD's 8, and some other teams that you might have interest. Nebraska Omaha is 19. And then in USCHO, which is the coaches poll, we got North Dakota 3, Notre Dame 5, Denver's number 4, UMD's 8. So UMD's 8 on both polls, pairwise and the coaches poll. And let's see if we got any more. But Minnesota State, unbelievable, number 1 in the coaches poll, is going to come up here and play UMD this weekend. So if you can get a ticket, I would get over to Amsoil for that game. And then some of the in-state teams, Minnesota is 30th in the coaches poll, Bemidji State's 33, and St. Cloud State's 47. So there you go with the coaches poll and the pairwise. And then I'm just looking over. I've seen some really good players on Saturday when I went down to the cities, and I went to the Turkey Trot, and we had Edina playing Wayzata, and Moorhead was playing Maple Grove for the championship. And there's a junior, Kyle Kukkonen, that, boy, he's the real deal. But Edina has this kid that's only a freshman. His name is Jimmy Clark. Remember that name, Jimmy Clark. He's only a freshman, and I think he's the best player on Edina's team as a freshman right now. They got a couple defensemen that are going to the University of Minnesota Gophers. They're committed there on scholarship to play hockey, and their names are Nick Williams, a defenseman, and Jake Boatman, who came back from juniors to finish his high school career. And let me say something about kids that come back to high school. There's nothing better than playing with your friends at high school. It just amazes me when these kids leave and not come back, and how hard it is in juniors. With some of these teams, with their schedule, it's just as good, if not better, than playing in juniors with the toughness in the elite league before the season starts. And I tell you, playing with your friends will last a lifetime, because you'll be friends forever. And when you leave, it's a struggle for a lot of these kids. And they don't even know if they're going to dress one game. And I noticed this year, like, Duluth East usually doesn't lose players, but they lost 3 players to juniors. They left early when they can be here playing with their friends up here. But there's a few others that left too, but I congratulate the ones that are coming back. And like one of them is Riot Kaiser from Andover, one of the best. He's coming to UMD. He's committed to UMD. One great defenseman. And Jake Boltman, who's going to the Gophers, another one that came back from juniors that they'll never regret it, I'll tell you. Never regret it. So, hey, Hermantown, who a lot of people think is favorite for Mr. Hockey this year, who is going to UMD too. He came back. So, congratulations to those kids. And I'll tell you what, have fun this year, and you will enjoy it and never regret it. And I was just looking, the breakdown book. We showed this last week. You got Blake Biondi on the book. They got him as Mr. Hockey for the Minnesota boys' best player of the year. And I hope he can do it. So I'm glad he came back, and go for Mr. Hockey. But you can get this. It's a great book. It's color. Every team. It has every player that's coming back from last year. Their stats. And you can buy this book at breakdown.com. So, great Christmas gift too. Well, we're coming to the end of the show, and so with high school hockey starting, and I know youth hockey, the Bantams and Pee-wees and Skirts are playing already, and colleges in the Wild are into they're 2 months into their season already. So a lot of hockey out there every day of the week. So get out there and see some games. And really support your high schools. I think it's the best hockey in the world, and it shows when the state tournament comes. They fill that XL Energy Center to the max on the Class AA, and they get big crowds for the Class A. There's nothing better than playing at the XL in your high school career, and that's the goal of all these kids that are playing high school hockey. So we'll see you at the rink, and thanks for watching the Minnesota Hockey Connection Show. You can see us on Facebook at Minnesota Hockey Connection. So like us on Facebook, and we'll see you next week. Have a good week.